I'm answering 11 of the most asked questions about Disney World provided by ChatGPT, from everything about tickets all the way to what are the best hotels to stay at on property and everything in between. Let's dive in. Number 1, when is the best time to visit Disney World, or for that matter, almost any Disney park around the world? Well, it depends on what your capabilities are. If you only have certain times of the years that you take off, well, I'm going to say it's just going to be generalized when you can actually take off. Now, if I'm trying to figure out what is going to be the best time where there's going to be the least amount of crowds, well, it's going to be like early to late January all the way through February. In March, things start to pick back up for spring break. Summer is always busy, and then things start to die down again, kind of like late August, September, and early October, and then things ramp back up for the holidays again. How much does a trip to Disney World cost? Well, it depends on what your budget is. I would say for anyone, it can be as low as $1,000 depending on one individual, upwards of $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 depending on how many people you have, how long you're staying for, and where you're actually going. I actually planned a trip and have a trip coming up in October myself with my family, and I actually did a video of it, and I will put it somewhere on screen that'll give you more exact details specifically on what it's going to cost for generalized family of 4. Number 3, what type of tickets or passes are actually available to purchase when at Disney World? Well, your standard day passes or tickets, however you want to consider them, you have a single park ticket all the way up to a park hopper. I believe the standard price at this moment is $109 to $119, depending on fluctuation on how busy the parks will actually be for a single day ticket. As you stack more days, your prices get lower and lower. It's like a bundle option. And then as you add more, of course, there's going to be increases in what you can actually do in your capabilities. The park hopper option allows you to visit as many parks as you possibly want in a single day without ever having to be tied to an exact schedule. Some people will think that's chaotic, and some people think it's a must. I am a person that thinks it's a must. I've been there too many times to not know how to plan my day, even with a park hopper. If it's your first time, maybe you have to go, I'm going to do one park at a time to kind of get used to what the layout of the parks actually are and get to know the things that you like to do before you can kind of venture off into that park hopper option. On top of that, you have your season passes with different tiers on basically block out dates on when you can actually go. And then on top of that, you have tours. These tours are pretty amazing. They're extra additional costs that are added to your ticket prices that allow you to see different things like backstage or skip lines and pretty much anything that you could possibly think of, upwards of tens of thousands of dollars for private tours. Number 4, how do I make a dining reservation? Well, it depends if you're staying on property or not. If you're not staying on property, it's 60 days prior to the day that you're going. So like if you're going Monday to Thursday, well then 60 days before Monday, you have to plan your dining reservation, 60 days before Tuesday, and so on and so on. If you're staying on property, it's actually going to be 60 days prior to your resort stay and length of stay. So the capability of you staying on property opens up booking for all of those days without having to actually wait. Number 5, what are the must-see attractions in each of Disney's 4 parks? Well, it depends on kind of what you like. I'm going to revert back to that. It's always opinionated. It's kind of what you're interested in. I'll go off the most popular things. Well, first off, to start off with, what do most people take pictures with in Magic Kingdom? It's gonna be your Cinderella's castle. From there, you take your pick of attractions. This is kind of where it goes down to the person. If you don't like roller coasters, you're not gonna like rides like Seven Doors Mine Train, Tron, or Big Thunder Mountain. You're gonna maybe like the darker rides, the classic original Disney rides, such as like Pirates of the Caribbean, maybe Peter Pan, or going over into Frontierland, or beyond that is Pirates of the Caribbean. So it just depends on what your interests are. I would probably say the rides that have the most attention at the moment, Haunted Mansion, Tron, and then on top of that, always is a classic that is always busy is Seven Dwarfs Mine Ride. Those are always busy. Same thing with like Peter Pan. So it depends on the person at the end of the day. For Epcot, as of right now, I would say the busiest attraction is Guardians of the Galaxy, and a close second would be Frozen Ever After. It is always busy. It's always slammed. Where most people want to take a picture at is pretty much right when they first walk into the park, and they want to get a picture with Spaceship Earth. At Hollywood Studios, it's going to be a mixture of things. Either you want to take a picture in Galaxy's Edge at the Grand Theater or by Tower of Terror. It's really hard. That park has a lot of photo ops that are very heavily just like saturated, where people just want to be there. The most probably busiest rides at the moment, not Guardians of the Galaxy. It is going to be Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and Galaxy's Edge. And then a close second, as usual, is going to be things like Slinky Dog Dash over in Toy Story Land. Tower of Terror is pretty much always busy. People love that. It's a classic ride, and it's not going away anytime soon. Over in Animal Kingdom, you're going to be looking at the Tree of Life as the key point of interest for taking pictures. Maybe a close second, but probably not, would be Expedition Everest. The busiest attractions where most people are going to be at, you're going to have Flight of Passage over in the world of Avatar. And I probably would say there's nothing that's going to come to a close second. Like, that is the busiest attraction in the entire park. And second and third are probably a good ways away, with like Expedition Everest or even like safaris. Number 6, how do I use Disney's Genie Plus and Lightning Lane? This is the newest thing that Disney has brought out over the last couple of years that's probably the most confusing to use. And I would say, outside of what the little brief information I'm going to give you, I would say do your research. Go watch a YouTube video that's specifically just on Disney Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes, because it's a lot. So you're capable of booking a Disney Genie Plus or Lightning Lane. It is the new form of Fast Passes, starting at 7 a.m. every morning. It is a paid service that you get the opportunity to skip the long lunch. You're still going to stand in a line. It's just not going to be as long. Genie Plus allows for a collection of rides that you can choose from and pick and choose throughout the day. With that, you are able to pick so many in the beginning, and you have to wait. I think it's 3. It's either 2 or 3 in the beginning. I can't remember off the top of my hand. And then you have a 2-hour window before you can book your next Lightning Lane. Or as soon as you check in for your ride, you can book another one right after. On top of that, you have individual Lightning Lanes that are an extra cost outside of Genie Plus. These are the premier rides that you're going to have to pay an even larger fee to ride. Typically, where I find most cost on slower days for it is between $22 and $25 for Genie Plus, upwards of $30 to $31. Individual Lightning Lanes, same thing, $22 to $27, depending on how busy the parks actually are. Again, I highly recommend you doing your research and watching a full breakdown. Disney Food Blog does a great version of this. Go watch that video. I have not done one. I would highly recommend to go watch that, because it's a lot of information that you're going to need to know before you get to the park. Number 7, what are the best hotels to stay at? I will tell you, the best hotel to stay at is whatever you can afford. So whether it's on property or off property, please, I don't recommend like paying for such a high budget room if you cannot afford it. Most people, especially on their first time, will not be in the rooms that often, unless you've been there multiple times and you have planned break days. It gets rather expensive as you go up in cost. So whatever rooms that you can afford, stay there. It's not going to beat you down, and it's not like some huge advantage to stay at a more expensive hotel if you can't afford it. Now, in my opinion, the best hotels to stay at are the ones closer to the park. And again, those are going to be the more pricier hotels. So be it. It's just the way it is. My favorite is Disney's Boardwalk. It is relatively close in walking distance to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Other premier hotels, the Disney Grand Floridian by Magic Kingdom, the Contemporary by Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom Lodge by Animal Kingdom. Like, those are really, really expensive, like starting prices between $700 and $800 a night, most cases, all the way upwards of thousands of dollars per night. So again, stay at the ones that are going to be the most friendly to you. I like AOA as well. It's good value budget. Pop Century, and even the sports, movies, and music hotels as well. They're not anything fancy, but they get the job done. Number 8, is Disney World suited for toddlers and children? Absolutely. It might seem overwhelming, and I would tell you, if you're going to be bringing kids, let's just say under 5, you might have to take a lot of breaks. And so be it. That's just the way it is. Don't try to kill yourself to get everything done under the sun, because you're just going to end up with really cranky kids, and then you're going to be really pissed off on your vacation. So get what you can done. I took my daughter at 1.5 years. I'm now taking my son. And this October, when he's going to be 1.5 years, I highly recommend it. But at the end of the day, don't try to kill yourself. There's plenty of stuff to do that you would just be blown away. And then on top of that, you get to meet the characters. You might not be able to ride all the big rides that you would do with older kids. But yes, it is 100% suited for toddlers and young children. And I advise you to take your kids there. They're going to remember. My daughter remembers it, and she still asks to this day to go to Disney every day. Number 9, how do I plan my day to avoid long lines? This takes a little bit of research and kind of a little bit of a know-how of how the parks operate. So you got to think, how do most people think? A lot of people, when they go into parks, they're going to go right, so maybe you have to go left. Realistically, I would say rope drop to fireworks, meaning from open to close. Get there before anybody else. That way you can take advantage of riding big name attractions that are going to have long wait times, and you can get those done really early in the morning without having to worry about standing and long lines in the future. And on top of that, if you can't afford it, Disney Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes are a plus, and you would be able to skip a lot of the big lines and get more attractions done. But again, easiest way that's going to be the most cost effective, rope drop to fireworks. It's going to be a very long day, but I highly recommend it, and you're going to get way more done. Number 10, what are the transportation options that Disney World offers? There are a few free options that cost $0, that if you're staying on a Disney resort, that you just don't have to pay for. 1 is the monorail, 2 is the Skyliner, 3 are the buses. On top of that, you have some water taxis as well for resorts or theme parks that'll have it, maybe like Epcot or something like that, or Hollywood Studios, that you can easily get from one place to the other, or maybe even over to Disney Springs. The paid option is going to be Disney's minivans. They look like Minnie Mouse, like that's why they call them that way. It's similar to that of like your Ubers or Lyft. It is going to be a paid service, but you kind of get your private vehicle, and you're not clumped in with a lot of people. So it's just whatever you can afford and what your options kind of work for you. And number 11, the final one. Can I bring food and drink inside the Disney parks? Absolutely, and I recommend it. It's going to save you a lot of money and even time from having to sit down at restaurants frequently. I would say if like your minor snacks and stuff like that throughout the day, use quick service, but I would also really recommend, especially for like your kiddos, it's going to be hot. They're probably not going to want to eat a lot anyways. Don't spend so much money on food. Go ahead, bring snacks, things that they're interested in, that they're going to eat, that you know for 100% sure that's going to be satisfying to them. Bring those snacks, bring water, and also utilize the free water that you can get at Disney. You do not have to buy a bottle of water, just go ask for a cup of water and they will give it to you. Well guys, did I miss anything that you might be interested in? If so, please put them in the comments. I will answer them in another video. I will probably do a part 2 to this video specifically, because there's so many questions that I didn't get to that I know are important to you guys. And if you liked the video today, please hit the thumbs up. It really helps me out. And also, if you're interested in seeing more about Disney in any way, shape, or form, from a vacation all the way to how Disney runs operationally as a business, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell to keep up with all things Disney related. But for now, go out, be you, be great, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.